Hi, this is Connie. I'm just talking about my visit to Sweden. In 1963, I was 17. That's been a long years now. I'm 77 now, so I didn't have gray hair and all that kind of stuff, so, but we left the plane let's see, it was June, and we went to spend 2.5 months in Sweden. Because my mom was born there and her family was from Jämtland, which is a province up the northern part of Sweden. Um, we flew into Anchorage, Alaska, and by Scandinavian Airlines, and we spent our time at with friends because we had an 8-hour layover, so we were able to visit with them. They were friends from Whidbey Island, the Estridges. We flew over the North Pole, and we got an official plaque that said that we had made it across the water and safely from the north over the North Pole. That was kind of exciting. We never having flown before. We got into town. I have to say this is quite humorous. My aunt was late getting to the airport because she didn't drive and she had to take a taxi and all that kind of stuff. So we were worried that we weren't going to find out where she was. We finally got together with her and she went into a taxi. She called a taxi and the taxi came and she had to, get the taxi so that it go like this so that it would stop. And she said, "Don't be afraid. The taxi drivers are absolutely crazy and they love it when Americans come to town because they try to scare them very badly." So they did. He said in Swedish, and I could understand everything that he was saying because I always spoke to my grandparent. They always spoke to me in Swedish, so it was just automatic. But he would say he wanted to scare us, so he went like he was going to go hit a pedestrian or whatever he was going to do, or go on the curb. It was just awful. And we said, my aunt said, "Be nice to them. They haven't been here for 40 years. My niece has not been here forever." Oh, that did it. He went and he drove everywhere. I mean, he said, he said this in Swedish. He said, "I'm going to go get that pedestrian over there. Oh, I'm going to go get this and the other thing." So my mom and I were kind of just horrified. And he was getting such a kick out of it, but we survived. Anyhow, my aunt lived on the train in Sweden. She cooked for the crew of the crew of the people that were driving. Not driving, but the crew that was working on the tracks and all the things if the train had any problems. And it was wonderful visiting with her. She was just a wonderful, wonderful lady. And we didn't want to have to go to bed because we were so jet lag was really hitting us bad. But we had to, because we knew we had 8 hours to go to get to our other place, and where my family was. And so we visited as much as we could. And she lived in the caboose, which is the end part of the train. And I had my first cooking experience of smoked herring. It was delicious, surprisingly. I couldn't speak Swedish when I first got there, but I could understand everything that everybody was saying. And when I got there, they were all sad because I couldn't speak the language. And let's see, I was able to to, like I said, hear everything that everybody was saying. And when they went to help me get down from the train, because it was quite a step down. But Connie didn't know that you could be comfortable, because that was the days when were you wore something really nice when you were where you're going to go meet people. So I wore nothing but my baccalaureate suit, which was something that I wore for the church service. But we wore a hat, and the hat, it was about this high, and about that round, and it didn't like to stay on my head. My head was quite large, and it wanted to constantly fall off. So finally, every time, and where the ledge was where you put your um, the stuff that you want to carry on. When I had the carry-ons, I couldn't. My hat kept falling off constantly, and I wore these silly little shoes that were pink, and my suit was pink, and my hat was. So I wanted to make a very good impression on my relatives. Well, when I went to get off the train, there was quite a step from where you step to get down to the little steps. Well, there's holes in the steps. Well, unfortunately, I made a spectacular setting. I went to get in off the thing, and my heel got caught in the spokes, or not spokes, but the little holes that were to keep the water off. So when you went on down, so I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't. What a way to meet your relatives! I couldn't even get down out of the off the train. So it was. But they were very gracious, and they had to go and get me off the train by lifting me up and putting me on the ground, because I couldn't move. But at least they were very gracious, and that was very nice. Um, it was an experience I'll never forget, I'll tell you. But we had a very, very nice time. They took us into, once I got over the embarrassment, they took us into their home, and we had a wonderful, wonderful spread of food. It was so well presented, and everything was so wonderful, and such good food. And then you get this whole big spread of a big table full of food, and then you think you're done, and because it had the pastries and everything else with it. But then they want to give you. We're supposed to get what's called a torta. It's a cake with good things on it. Is it done? Okay. And it was very rich and very delicious. We were expected to eat the food because it was presented so nicely in front of us, and we didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings by not eating it. And plus the fact that we were hungry and we wanted to eat it. And so we found out from then on that you were, that we didn't eat, we just ate a small amount of the first stuff, which was wonderful sandwich making stuff and everything else. And then, like I said, it worked out well. Everybody understood, and everybody was pleased, and it worked out okay. We had a wonderful 2.5 months. I have other things to say, but I didn't know if I should say them at this point or not. I guess I could, like I say, I could understand the language perfectly, because that's all my grandparents spoke when we were together. So when I got to walk with my cousin the next day to the store, they told me, my cousin told me that I had to talk because I couldn't have my mouth quiet for 2.5 months and not say anything and be able to understand everything, but not talk. So she says, use your hands when you're making words that you can't think about what they are. So I did, and by the time we came back to the store from, I was speaking Swedish, and I was speaking it fluently, and so when I came back home after 2.5 months, I can read, write, and speak the language now. So that is very fun because it's so nice to be able to communicate with your family and your relatives, who are very, very special to me. That's okay. They're all
Yeah.
over.
Okay.